Everybody, my name is Kyle Hall, and since I'm becoming a special education teacher, I figured I would talk about IDEA, which stands for Individuals with Disability Education Act. So first, what is it? It is a law that's there to ensure free access to public education for students with disabilities in the least restrictive environment. So that means for students with disabilities, they should be in general education classes to the maximum extent that is appropriate, meaning that those students can still be successful in a general education class with the right supplementary aids and services. Now, this law also provides funding and money to special education services through two different kinds of grants. The first one being a formula grant, which is awarded to every state at the end of each year. For general special education services. And there's also discretionary grants, which is competitive. It's a competitive application process where the money awarded is to help support research, technical assistance, technology development, professional development and preparation, and parent training. Now, IDEA also governs how agencies provide early intervention, which means helping children between the ages of birth and age 2 with developmental delays, and this helps them to stay on track with their peers so they don't fall too far behind. It also governs how the special education and related services work. To understand how we got to this legislation, I think it's important to turn back our clocks a long, long time ago, and it would almost feel like we're in a galaxy far, far away. So in order to understand IDEA, you must first look back at the legislation that it followed. So in 1971, you have two court cases, Pennsylvania Association for Retarded Children versus the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania ruling, where the U.S. District Court ruled that students with disabilities need to be placed in publicly funded school settings that met their individual educational needs. Also in 1971, you have a separate court case, Mills versus the Board of Ed, in the District of Columbia, where it was deemed that it was unlawful to deny access to publicly funded educational opportunities for students classified as exceptional, including mental or learning disabilities or behavioral issues. Now, this led Congress to do some investigating of their own, where they found that a lot of students weren't getting the educational opportunities that they deserved, which is going to lead to a landmark case where, for the first time, the federal government is going to create a piece of legislation. So, in 1975, President Ford signed the Education for All Handicapped Children Act, which stated that all states that accepted federal money were required to provide equal access to education for all children with disabilities, plus one free meal per day. Now, in 1976, the amendment was made to this to include that services ranged from birth to age 3, when previously they started at age 3. Then in 1986, the Handicapped Children's Protection Act gave parents more say in their children's IEP, which stands for Individual Education Plan. And then in 1990, the act was again amended to include traumatic brain injury and autism. Also, teachers were required to create ITPs, which are individual transition plans for life after school. In 1997, this act became IDEA, and it emphasized access to the same curriculum and expanded developmental delay, which is defined as the ages of birth to 5 years old. And in 2004, the act was again amended to have greater accountability for special education teachers and raise standards. How has IDEA affected teaching and teachers? Well, IDEA helps to integrate students with disabilities into the general ed classrooms. So this has affected teachers and education as a whole. School's purpose for all is meant to prepare students for their next phase in life, whatever that is. And legislators have decided that disability is a natural part of the human experience and in no way diminishes the right of individuals to participate in or contribute to society. Improving educational results for children with disabilities is an essential element of our national policy of ensuring equality of opportunity, full participation, independent living, and economic self-sufficiency for all individuals. So, this is, in summary, just a way of saying that um, any kind of disability is an excuse not to have an opportunity to learn and to be able to provide for yourself and all of the things that we as humans strive to do. So teachers must be able to adapt their teaching to help support students with disabilities. For example, some students might require different testing settings, so teachers can accommodate that with extra time or have students test in a room with less distractions.